If I could change just one thing about the time I spent learning to code, it wouldn't be the tutorial I chose or the language I started off with. It would 110% be these mindset changes. So I'm just going to get straight into them. Okay, so the first one is focus on practice, not theory. When I was first getting started, I stumbled across a blog post on the internet where I read something like the 10,000 hour rule to mastery. It said that if you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you'll eventually become a master at it. In my head, I understood that as, let me go read a bunch of books and watch a bunch of tutorials on programming for 10,000 hours, and the quicker I can do that, the better programmer I'll become. My philosophy now is a lot more different, and it's more the 10,000 lines of code approach. So how quickly can I get to 10,000 lines of code where every 1,000th line is better than the last one? Coding or programming is a craft, and you get better at it by being inefficient, slow, and bad. It's a lot more like woodworking, playing an instrument, drawing, than it is like law or history or finance or anything that's very information dense. Finally, this point or this mindset is really helpful in making you avoid tutorial hell. And if this video reaches, say, 10 likes, I'll make a step-by-step guide on how to get out of tutorial hell. Alright, point number 2 is ego is the enemy. So when I was just getting started, I didn't want to do the plain HTML, CSS, recipe websites that tutorials get you to make. I wanted to do the cool stuff. I wanted to make my Facebook clone or a Reddit clone. I wanted to be nitty-gritty in algorithms and REST APIs. This was my ego speaking. Had I swallowed my pride and not thought that doing these basic things were beneath me, I would have become a much better engineer in a lot less time. Alright, so point number 3, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. In software engineering, you're an information manager, so it isn't your job to know everything. And as a professional developer, you'll never know everything. However, given that the problem is within your domain, so say you're a back-end engineer and it's a back-end problem, you're expected to be able to go and solve it. And that's a really uncomfortable feeling, and it's never really going to go away. I mean, tools will be there, you can read up as much as you want outside of work, but there's so much in this field that you just have to be okay with feeling uncomfortable, and you have to sort of learn to enjoy it. You have to see it as a part of the job that you actually enjoyed, like, okay, cool, I'm not uncomfortable, I'm actually going to learn something now. I'm going to go beyond what I knew before I picked up this piece of work, and that's the beauty of this field. So the final point is, you will never master programming. I see these kind of posts on Reddit all the time. How quickly can I master X language? Or is it better if I master HTML before CSS? And this misses the point of programming for beginners. You aren't meant to master languages in the beginning. You're meant to go and build things with them and iterate on it. You don't master programming concepts, you understand them vaguely when you watch a tutorial or read something off a book. You go and apply them numerous times in a project, and then you continuously improve on that. This really goes back to what I said about coding being a craft. So, for example, this is a situation that I've been in, and you're starting to learn to code and you stumble across some concept you don't understand, say CSS Flexbox. What I used to do was I would sit down and I would non-stop read about the concept, watch different videos, and I would try to master that concept before I went on to the next. And that is completely wrong. What I would do now is okay, I don't understand this. Let me finish off this section of the tutorial or whatever section I set out to do, and then I would go build things with it. Alright, so your immediate rebuttal would be something like, okay, but if I'm not a master, how am I meant to get a job in this industry? Well, you're missing the point again. When you're getting hired as a junior developer, you're not expected to be a master. You're expected to know a certain part of the domain that the company's looking for, say front-end development, and you're expected to have the grit, patience, and persistence to constantly learn and absorb new things. And this is how really good programmers are made. They know the basics really well, not by reading books or doing video tutorials, by building a bunch of projects, and they're always eager to learn more. So they do a bunch of practice, they swallow their pride, they're very comfortable with being uncomfortable because they're learning, and they're on this continuous pursuit of mastery.